Live from the Akrs Broadcast Center, it's the Nebraska Athletics AD Show with Troy Dannon.
13 on the shot clock. Out it comes now to Hoiberg. Drives the ball, jump stop, 2 feet in the paint. Left side Garcia, 3 ball on the way. It's good! He rings the bell, bang-a-rango for JG. Jared Garcia, Huskers by 10.
That's one of those inside-out threes. Great penetration and assist by Sam.
29-19. Huskers with another 3. Splits a double team. Throws it up there. Misses. Rebound by Jacobson. Good defensive board by Kale. Down the floor, he finds Hoiberg with a red headband on tonight. Reverses it out to Mast, who steps into a long 3. Bang! Bang-a-rango-rango! Rink Mast gives Nebraska the 17-point lead. He's in double figures with 12. Sporting News, mid-season All-American, Rink Mast.
Drives in the lane, backs it out now with 17 to shoot. Reverses it right side, Maupin's 3, you betcha! Huskers take the lead on a Central Valley 8-3 by Za. Maupin will set a screen at the top of the key. Prints down the right lane line, challenges Porter, drives in and scores. Great play call from the bench by Amy Williams, and Britt has 11.
Now, here's your host, Kyle Crooks, on the Huskers Radio Network.
Welcome into the Nebraska Athletic Directors Show here with Troy Dannon tonight. A lot to talk about, and certainly we'll get to it here over the next hour. Kyle Crooks with you as well. We'll talk a lot of flag football coming up in our second segment with Troy Vincent Sr., NFL's Executive VP of Football Operations, with the Huskers adding another varsity sport in women's flag football. And with that, Troy Dannon, you were at the College Football National Championship game, correct, in Miami? So
other duties as assigned with being on the playoff selection committee. It's 4 days in Miami, so interesting week. A lot going on in college athletics, college football. A lot of discussion, from calendar to transfer portal to everything else, and all of those people are all together in Miami. So there was a lot of little corner discussions about what the future is, let alone a really good weekend for the Big Ten. To have 3 consecutive champions out of the league, 3 different schools, and just the Indiana story. It was a great weekend for the league.
It's such a great story in sports with what Indiana has done in just a couple of years with Kurt Signetti, and everyone's trying to find that formula. How do we become the next Indiana, right? It's just something that you can't necessarily. It's hard to calculate or put a formula to it. What Indiana's done.
Yeah, and that's every AD in the country's been hearing it. Well, if them, then why not us? If them, then why not us? And and I think there's a lot of perfect storms. The consistency and continuity of his coaching staff. The fact that they all came from James Madison, and I think his first one, the strength coach, left after the game, but they've all remained together, and that's really, really important. It's something Matt and I've talked about. He's made coaching changes, but we need to get to a point where we've got the right people. And with Matt not being in the college game when he came in, right, it was a little bit more of a startup, and so. But I think everybody's trying to find that recipe. The thing that's impressive about Indiana, though, is just the discipline. I read they hadn't fumbled since the first game of the season. And if you watch them play, they're very rarely out of position, and it's not a matter of they're out athleticing everybody. They're just game discipline, position discipline, in addition to being great athletes and obviously Heisman Trophy winner, but they are what every program aspires to do, not just have the best players on the field, but have the discipline to be in the right place at the right time. They don't miss tackles. They don't turn the ball over. All those things that you say are your goals when the season starts.
And let's go here for Nebraska football and the transfer portal. That wraps up, and boy, that's a whirlwind. I can only imagine what the coaches and Pat Stewart and his whole crew have to go through during those few weeks. How do you feel like Nebraska situated themselves with who they added to the roster?
You never know. I think if you look at men's basketball as the greatest example, last year did all of the NIL signees, did those new players, all, I guess, return in the way you would have hoped, some but not all. This year, maybe you have a different answer, maybe all, not some, but all. So until you start playing games, you don't really know. I will tell you, I had a chance to meet the quarterback and his family when they were in on their visit, and he has a presence about him, to be sure. When I was at the meetings in Miami this weekend, the folks on my committee that evaluated, the committee's split into leagues, and the folks that evaluated the Mountain West Conference took the time to come up and said, quarterback was the most impressive player we saw. Yeah, they loved everything they saw, and they watched every game, and a lot of just as I did with my leagues. So I think people really like the quarterback. Time will tell. I think for what their targets were and what they felt the needs were, and it's not just a one-time thing. It's how the players developing in the roster. Who else do you have on your roster to move into some of those spots? And where are you at with your 27 class and 28 class? So all these things interconnect. But I think they felt good, but until we start playing games, you'll never really know.
From an AD's perspective, you read the stories of a Damon Williams at Washington and Darian Mensah at Duke, who signed NIL deals and then still end up in the portal. And then now the athletic department is suing the quarterback. And just your thoughts on where we're at right now as a college football group. How do we find some solutions to some of these things?
So how many segments do we have? So let's step back. The world in which we are living right now is intolerable. The only way we get to a place where the world is tolerable is some type of antitrust protection, so we can put rules in place and govern. And there's two ways to get that. One is through Congress, and we all hear about the SCORE Act. And I don't think the SCORE Act is dead, but it has not gone anywhere yet. And all the governing bodies have been trying for a while to get some type of antitrust protection from Congress. The other way you get it is through collective negotiation, representation, bargaining. There's different ways to get it. And is that a path? And then I read last week yet another way maybe to remove the antitrust issues is the conference govern themselves, because at that point conferences do not set markets. And so the Big Ten in theory could have a set of rules which it would not be subject to litigation on antitrust due to antitrust violations, because the Big Ten itself does not set the market. We have to get to a place where we have the ability to govern. We don't have the ability to govern right now. I can be really critical of the settlement. The settlement, probably in hindsight, certainly I won't speak for my peers, but for myself, I would not have raised my hand for supporting the settlement had we known what the forward-looking conditions were actually going to be like. We thought the settlement was providing some limited antitrust protection on an injunctive basis, and it really hasn't done that. So we have a chaotic world. Everyone's trying to navigate through it as best we can. I think we're navigating as successfully as possible at Nebraska. But to your point, the situation in our league at Washington, which resolved itself maybe cleanly, at least externally. And then, the question with Mensah at Duke, and I speak, Mensah was at Tulane when I was there. He's recruited, redshirted my last year at Tulane, and left for Duke for a big number. And now, we do allow coaches to do the very same thing. Mm-hmm. And it seems as if that's a natural part of the game, and that this is distasteful. But timing is a challenge. Portal dates closing. When is the portal? We have a calendar that was built on a set of an environmental circumstances that existed before you could ever transfer. Almost going all the way back to when freshmen weren't even eligible is the foundation of our calendar. A lot of those things have to change, but fundamentally, until there's some type of an antitrust protection that allows us to govern, that allows us to actually take these things that are happening, where they're pretty obvious rule violations. Some of the things we've seen from NIL contracts or whether they are indeed NIL contracts. They're pretty obviously violations of the rules that nothing seems to be happening until we get the ability to govern. It feels like we're in this Groundhog Day.
We have a minute left in this segment, but it's probably not fair to ask you this. Do we feel like there's a collaboration with all the Power 4 leagues to find a solution here?
Oh, I think there's a little bit of provincialness that happens. I think if the Big Ten says, I want to do this, everybody says, well, the Big Ten, if you want to do this, then it must be bad for us. And same thing with the SEC. And if the Big 12 wants this, well, it must be bringing everybody down to there's lots of that mentality. I think finding the path to get this done, I think everybody agrees what that solution needs to be, but finding the path, what is the route to get it done? The 4 power commissioners who I know really, really, in fact, I know all the commissioners from my other responsibilities along the way, really good people, vested strong interests in getting some resolution. We all have to, as institutions, get rid of the provincialness. And never forget this. There's one way to get rid of all antitrust, and that is you don't put any rules or any regulations, any caps, any on anything. I started to hear a little bit about some institutions saying the cap is too small. The cap, instead of 22.5%, needs to be whatever percent, or it needs to just go away entirely. Well, that will take care of the problem as well. But I think at its core, one, we have to stay, and people will laugh at it, we do have to stay true to the academic mission of institutions. Otherwise, why are we doing this inside of institutions of higher ed? And secondly, we can't govern and legislate a level playing field, but we are all competing for the same championship, and we all have to have a general set of rules and guidelines that we're living by, from academic eligibility to everything else. Right now, the only time the rules are the same really is when the football kicks off. And we need some type of commonality in an environment that we're all living in. Yeah.
Fascinating stuff, for sure. The Huskers Radio Network Broadcast Center is sponsored by Akrs, the Midwest premier John Deere dealers, supplying the equipment and service to advance agriculture and much more. Akrs, solutions for every field. We mentioned flag football, newest varsity sport here for the Huskers. Troy Vincent Sr., part of the NFL Executive VP of Football Ops, will join myself and Troy Dannon next.
This statement has not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
When it comes to my lifestyle and diet, I don't always make the smartest choices.
Touchdown! Woo! Hey, how about another round and some more chips?
But when it comes to taking care of my liver, I do make one very smart choice. Active liver tablets from New Nordic. I used to have real issues with my liver, and at my last checkup, my doc was concerned about my numbers. But since adding a once-a-day active liver tablet, my gut's better, I feel great, and my doctor's happy. I ask a lot of my liver, so the least I can do to say thanks is a daily dose of Active Liver.
Active Liver is one of many award-winning health products from New Nordic, the #1 supplier of dietary supplements in Scandinavia. Purchase at Amazon.com, or for a volume discount, visit newnordicusa.com. Available as a tablet or delicious sugar-free gummy. Protect and help your liver the easy and effective way with Active Liver at Amazon or newnordicusa.com.
Every morning, we rise and shine, make breakfast, and brush away the night's rest. These routines help us start the day off right. Nature-Made vitamins are a simple step in that daily care regimen. Multivitamins with daily essentials, clinically studied probiotics for gut health support, magnesium to help relax the body. Nature-Made is made to care for you every day. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Husker fans, if you're looking for a fulfilling career that's financially rewarding and provides flexibility, your local insurance agency is hiring. No matter your skills or interests, there are opportunities for you in the insurance industry. Explore the many ways you can use your skills to protect your community by checking out the IIAN job board. Find your calling and be a part of an industry that makes a difference. Go to iian.org/careers today.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
Returns on the farm are under pressure, with market challenges and environmental hurdles putting every seed to the test. But you have an ace in the hole. Streamline Ag. Designed for every phase of growth and development, Streamline Ag gives your seed what it needs to thrive. from enhanced stand establishment and early emergence to essential nutrition and stress management. Streamline Ag gives your seed the power to reach its full potential. Visit us at streamline-ag.com to learn more.
Since 1975, Woodhouse has proudly served our customers and communities. From one dealership to over 21 dealerships across Nebraska and Iowa, our promise remains the same: a wide selection of vehicles, trusted service, and financing that fits your life. We believe in honest people, fair prices, and relationships built to last. Because it's not just about the road ahead, it's about traveling it together. Start your journey at woodhouse.com.
I would have never had the chance to see my daughter become a doctor.
Because my mom wore her seatbelt that day, I get to hug her when I go home.
And then it clicked. Because I wore my seatbelt, I learned that one moment in time can change a person's life forever.
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
The day we were hit was the second to last day of our high school careers.
We were about to graduate as best friends together.
And then it clicked. Because we wore our seatbelt that day, we still get to experience life together.
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
From the chant of Husker power to Aloe Fiber powering your home and Husker Nation, Aloe is the teammate you can trust. Whether you're streaming at home with Aloe Internet, watching on the go with DirecTV through Aloe, or checking stats and scores on Aloe Mobile, Aloe keeps you in the game. Bench the other guys and team up with the official internet, TV, and mobile partner of the Huskers. Go Gig Red. Visit aloefiber.com/Husker Radio.
Dear weekend, Toyota trucks are raring to go. Gearing up for fall, Tundra is all in for hauling. Campers, ATVs, you know Tundra's got the muscle to move it. Going off the beaten path? Tacoma says, let's do this. With handling that tackles tough trails and the backbone to take you where the pavement can't. Both trucks pack sweet tech, posh cabins, and Toyota's legendary reliability. So whether it's a fishing trip at dawn, tailgate at noon, or a remote sunset at, well, sunset, these trucks are built to make every weekend epic. Find yours at Toyota.com. Toyota. Let's go places.
See your Omaha Metro and Lincoln Toyota dealers, Baxter Toyota of La Vista, Baxter Toyota of Lincoln, Corwin Toyota of Bellevue, or Village Point Toyota of Omaha.
Woodhouse has been a trusted partner in your everyday since 1975. Shop for your next vehicle with the home team at Woodhouse and the official auto dealer of Nebraska Athletics. Welcome back to the Nebraska AD Show with Troy Dannon. We are now joined by Troy Vincent Sr., the NFL's Executive VP of Football Operations. Big reason why. We could have a lot of things to touch on, but certainly flag football being announced here as a varsity sport beginning in the spring of 2028 here at the University of Nebraska. So big news there. We'll dive into that. The NFL's influence on the growth of this sport as well. So we welcome in Troy Vincent Sr. Troy, welcome to the program. How are you?
Good, and thanks for having me. I hope you all are warm because it is freezing up north.
Yeah, it's
freezing.
Hopefully you don't have the wind that we have here in Nebraska. It's certainly cold this morning, but let's start here because the big announcement, it was announced by Nebraska this past Friday that women's flag football will be the newest varsity sport here on campus. I know you guys have done such an incredible job from the league standpoint in building awareness of the sport, especially at the youth level. It's a growing sport at the high school level as well. Just what's the impact of now having a major Power 4 school step in and say, hey, we want flag football to be a varsity sport?
Tremendous. And when the announcement came out last week as flag being an emerging sport at Division I, Division II, and Division III, who is going to be the leader? Who is going to set an example? And Nebraska has, through the years, frankly, during my time when I was a student athlete and beyond, Nebraska has always been, in particular, and I think this is important to note, when you think about females and elite women as student athletes, when you look at the institution today, it is a model for what young ladies can be and what they can aspire to be. When you look at the success that you've had in multiple sports that are led by women. So to see Nebraska be the first, and I would say like Troy's a pioneer. This is a pioneer. Someone had to where in this current environment, people are reducing, institutions are reducing sports. Troy, under his leadership, Nebraska's leadership, they're adding additional sports, and that's groundbreaking. And when you have an institution and a brand like Nebraska, this national, frankly, global brand, this is also part of, we assist in the elevation of growing the sport. But when you have institutions and leaders like Troy elevating it, it validates it, and actually it opens the door for others to say, why aren't we doing it? Or when are we going to start?
Yeah, and women in sports, but women in football specifically, this is an entryway to allow them to compete in a sport that so many women around this country love. And I think I watched last night a TED Talk that you had on this specifically about giving opportunities, and Troy and his administration here with Nebraska, and the importance of having a Power 4 school give more opportunities for women in football. But opportunity, that's what's probably one of the most important things here for women in sports and women in football.
Access and opportunity. And I had that opportunity to share on that TED stage. It was personal to me because our oldest child, our daughter Desiree, she didn't have the opportunity that her brothers had to participate. She loved the sport. She was skillful. But as she got older, Desiree didn't lose interest. Young ladies, young girls don't lose interest. They lose access. They lose opportunity. And we're at a time, it's 2026. What are we talking about? Young women or young girls or women don't have the opportunity to have the same opportunity as young boys, as young student athletes that are young boys or young males. And this is just a wonderful opportunity. I've always thought about how can I give back to the sport that has given so much to myself individually and my family. And for the first time, I'm part of something bigger and greater than myself. And I just feel like I'm part of a team now along with Nebraska and Troy and his leadership, being part of something that's just greater than ourselves. And we just think about, hey, most think that only young boys or those access and opportunity were only provided to young boys through our time. Football has been a male-dominated sport, and the young girls have always wanted to play, just didn't have the access or the opportunity. We now, in a path, youth, high school, collegiate, we're kicking off a pro flag league. It's in the Olympics. So like this aspirational arc, it's now available.
And bring in Troy Dannon as well, too. And Troy, how did this, the talk start pretty early on with flag football? What was the collaboration with Troy Vincent Sr. and the NFL?
Well, let's go back to, Nebraska has needed to expand its female participation opportunities. Just we've done a good job historically, and I think Nebraska's been a leader on the women's side. But if you look at how we're from a Title IX standpoint measured, you either reduce male opportunities or enhance female opportunities. So at Nebraska, the question is not to reduce, but it is to expand. And there are a lot of sports out there. And you go back, Troy, it's been several years, but I was chair of the NCAA's football competition committee, and as part of that, you get to sit in the room of the NFL competition committee and discuss common issues, and Troy Vincent's leading that. And at the time, flag football was on their radar screen. And as you look at it, the football mantra here, the care for the sport of football. But when you add the shield, the fact that the NFL is behind it, I wasn't interested in a sport maybe that, hey, we could be a little one-off and do something cute here in the Midwest. The NFL being behind this is going to provide a conduit for everyone. Football, the growth of football is important. Long term, the interests of football, taking half of our population and, as Troy said, eliminating opportunities to play and thus maybe disengage from the sport is not in the interests of the sport of football. So it kind of became a natural. I don't know, Troy, it was maybe 6-7 months ago, I reached out and said, hey, we're thinking about this. Let's talk about how we can work together and collaborate. This isn't a matter of the NFL funding this or this, but understanding, their teams have structures and trying to promote flag football within the markets of the NFL franchises, and the expertise and the work that Troy and his staff have done over the years to basically tell us what we needed to do. How do we need to organize this? What's the right way to do it? So we relied heavily on the NFL, and I think we're both important to one another. I think it is important that a Power 4 school took the initiative to dive in. And I was at the CFP championship game over the weekend, and I had 4 or 5 ADs reach out to me. I talked to other football people, all wanted to talk about this because this is the next wave of football. The Olympic Games in 28 are really important, but I think this caught everyone's attention.
And Troy, too, I wanted to ask you because just reading up on flag football and the NFL's relationship with the sport, you mentioned the pro league that's backed by the NFL and the owner support of the growth of flag football, the players' interest in potentially playing in the Olympics, right, in 2028 with flag footballs out there. It seems like the players and the owners are all in on flag football and its future.
Absolutely. I think about my days coming out of Madison, Wisconsin in 1992 and the Dream Team. It wasn't an option for me. It wasn't an option for, at that time, the Dan Marinos, the John Elways. It just wasn't available to the Jerry Rices. It wasn't a global sport. It wasn't an Olympic sport. And when you look, where we are today, we have a chance to truly become a competing global sport. Today, we're not that. You come out of the States, outside of Mexico and Canada, we're a domestic sport. Flag allows us the international reach. It's affordable, it's accessible, and it's all inclusive. You don't have to have a special field. You don't have special equipment. It's affordable. And that Olympic arc is like, wow. And then when you introduce that to the players, that I can actually rep my team, hey, is one thing to come from, hey, the state of New Jersey, the city of Trenton, New Jersey, hey, to play ball in Madison, Wisconsin, to go on and play professional ball. But then to say, hey, I have an opportunity. I made the Team USA. Like, I think every athlete dreams about that in some kind of, to be part of that athletic resume. And again, where 80% of your Olympians come from? The college institutions, such as Nebraska. So when you lead, Nebraska will be fueling when we think the athletes, not only for the pro league, but potentially not just representing Team USA, but their countries due to the international basis on campus.
And when you have the NFL backing it the way that it is, eventually in pro leagues you have the support of networks and things like that, and you get some of these games on television, and that continues to grow the sport. Commissioner Goodell, you work with him closely, and what's his thoughts on the growth of the game, and especially at the youth level, but specifically now what this announcement with flag football here at Nebraska?
Well, it's his leadership. Myself, I'm able to charge, be a voice, be one of many faces, but it's a league priority. We look at our international play, obviously our competitive play here, and then we think, how do we grow internationally? How do we grow the game, not just professional football, but how do we grow the game of football? And Commissioner's been 100% supportive of people, of drawing awareness and leveraging our partners, our media partners, the clubs. So he's been all in, and collectively, and this is why this discussion today is so important, because collectively we win. Collectively, the game of football wins. And you need institutions like the NFL, institutions such as Nebraska, and the more the merrier to present these opportunities and access for young ladies to display their elite talent.
I'm interested, too, because you get a lot of viewership numbers and things. How have you seen the demographics of those that watch the NFL on a Sunday or a Monday night widen with more women watching? We know there's women on coaching staffs and in the front office, and that's growing. But the overall audience now for the National Football League and the amount of women you see come through the turnstiles for games on Sundays, but also that you see are watching football now and really all in.
Well, I think anyone's looking at the demographics around the world. We're skewing. It's on that younger, that 14 to 25 to that 35 age limit. And I would just say this, a great example, our flag championships in Canton, Ohio, the last 2 years, the viewership has been led by the young ladies, that U14, U13, U14. It's not the boys. The boys they're getting a lot of attention, but nothing like what the young ladies are doing, so that we get a chance to scale. And there's always been decades and decades about, hey, who makes a decision in the household with children? It's the mom. Guess what? Now moms and daughters and nieces and granddaughters, they have an opportunity to participate, to coach, to play. This whole ecosystem is now, you open up and create all of these career paths, not just participation, coaches, trainers, data science, engineers, all of these things, performance coaches, the whole ecosystem opens up for this demographic.
We're closing in on the 2028 Olympics in LA, and just how many have you had players come up to you and say, hey, I want to get in on the men's side for flag football? What are some of the conversations with the players and their eagerness to maybe be a part of it?
So there is a lot of eagerness, and the talk is, okay, what are the rules, and does my body type or play type, where do I go to compete? Through USA Football, that's our governing body through this process. And when we talk about the ownership, the membership has said, okay, the players will be protected as they try out. They got to try out and make the team. The interest is there because of the global reach. The student athlete today, everything's about his brand or her brand, and how many people likes and how many people going to share. This is an opportunity to be on the global stage, not just here domestically or in your little home market. Is a lot of interest, not only from our professionals. I've had some legends reach out, just some recently retired players like, yo, man, I think I still can do this. What's the process? And then I also, on the high school side, you get a lot of young athletes that are saying, hey, I've been playing 7-on-7 all my life. I got a chance to rep my country and represent my country. So there's been a ton of interest.
Yeah, it's I can only imagine what the interest is. And, let's finish up with this, but the overall health of the game right now, the way that the NFL is really doubled down on health and safety of the game. Overall, I'll use the word health. Where do you feel the health of the game is right now moving forward?
Different game. We're not where I don't think we're ever will be where we want to be. It's a contact sport, and there are inherent risks that's associated with the sport. But I do believe with our health and safety committee led by Dr. Alan Sills and Jeff Miller and Dawn Aponte, over the years, I think with learning, with science, now having data science and video, there's some predictive learning that we can do. How do we protect players from unnecessary risk? And I think that's the charge, not only for the National Football League, Troy and his leadership at Nebraska. How do we protect the student athletes at Nebraska, athletes abroad here at all the institutions from unnecessary risk? Equipment is better. Helmet is better. Our return to play policies and practices are better. There's just better equipment. The way we assess and how we can predict certain things, we've made a lot of progress, still got a long way to go. We got some things that we need to address. Hey, you got to wear your uniform. You got to wear your uniform properly. It's important that you keep your knee pads and your thigh boards, wear proper fitting shoulder pads, proper fitting shoes. So we've come a long way from protecting players from unnecessary risk, and we still got some ways to go.
I don't think people fully understand the data that the NFL has compiled on injuries and injury risk has changed the college preseason, and how we ramp up and what those early days are, how we train, how many hours are devoted to this, to that. It isn't a matter of just the acclimatization period. You can't put pads on for so long, but how many hours do we use in those first week? All that data has come from the NFL. And so there's so much benefit to what they do from a health and safety standpoint that trickles to us. I think most NCAA teams will tell you they're much healthier in the preseason now when the season starts because we have changed how we acclimatize in those early weeks.
Yeah, you forget about all the sports science that goes behind this and the amount of information that is compiled with the NFL and then trickles down to the different levels. Troy Vincent Sr., NFL's Executive VP of Football Operations, chatting with us. Thanks so much for the time. This is a landmark announcement, and of course, Troy Dannon and his administration, their work to make women's flag football a varsity sport here at the Power 4 level and continue opportunities for women, not just in sports, but in football. So, Troy, thanks so much for the time, and we really appreciate it.
No, thank you. And Troy, thank you for you and your team's leadership. It means a lot to the sport of football. And we just thank you for your leadership and what you're doing, providing these wonderful opportunities for the young ladies at this elite level. So thank you.
I appreciate you so much, Troy. And the NFL is going to empower and enable a lot of institutions to do what Nebraska just did because of all the work that's been done for us to start a sport, all the work that we would have had to have done. That's what the NFL's been doing for years. So really the table is set. It's fun that we get to be at the first one to sit at the table, but the table is set for others to come on board. And I think we're going to see. I think we're already seeing maybe at the middle school level in Omaha some female flag football interest. I think 38 states, Troy, if I'm not mistaken, maybe it's 32, but 38 states moving that way with our high school sports. So we're good. We're glad to jump on the bandwagon, but really appreciate the support of the NFL in getting this kicked off.
It's going to be a snowball effect for sure with Nebraska hopping into this field with women's flag football. So Troy Vincent, thanks so much for joining us and really appreciate your time. We know you're busy, so thanks so much.
Yeah. Thank you all. Yep. Appreciate you.
That's Troy Vincent Sr. here on the Nebraska AD Show. We continue with more right after this.
Dear Weekend, Toyota trucks are raring to go. Gearing up for fall, Tundra is all in for hauling. Campers, ATVs, Tundra's got the muscle to move it. Going off the beaten path? Tacoma says, let's do this. With handling that tackles tough trails and the backbone to take you where the pavement can't. Both trucks pack sweet tech, posh cabins, and Toyota's legendary reliability. So whether it's a fishing trip at dawn, tailgate at noon, or a remote sunset at, sunset, these trucks are built to make every weekend epic. Find yours at Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
See your Omaha Metro and Lincoln Toyota dealers, Baxter Toyota of La Vista, Baxter Toyota of Lincoln, Corwin Toyota of Bellevue, or Village Point Toyota of Omaha.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
Noddle Companies proudly supports the Huskers Radio Network. As a full-service leader in commercial real estate, we create thriving communities. Discover what's new in the Builders District in North Downtown, Noddle Hospitality's latest venture in Aksarben Village, and the contemporary living of row house townhomes on Leavenworth. We're welcoming world-class concepts from men's fashion and great eats to gorgeous homes and green spaces, all professionally managed by Noddle Services. These are the Noddle Companies, building a better Nebraska. For more information, check us out on Facebook and Instagram.
Dear Weekend, Toyota trucks are raring to go. Gearing up for fall, Tundra is all in for hauling. Campers, ATVs, Tundra's got the muscle to move it. Going off the beaten path? Tacoma says, let's do this. With handling that tackles tough trails and the backbone to take you where the pavement can't. Both trucks pack sweet tech, posh cabins, and Toyota's legendary reliability. So whether it's a fishing trip at dawn, tailgate at noon, or a remote sunset at, sunset, these trucks are built to make every weekend epic. Find yours at Toyota.com. Toyota, Let's go places.
See your Omaha Metro and Lincoln Toyota dealers, Baxter Toyota of La Vista, Baxter Toyota of Lincoln, Corwin Toyota of Bellevue, or Village Point Toyota of Omaha.
I got to see my brother get married.
I would have missed my dad's birthday.
Because I wore my seatbelt, I had the privilege of being part of his special day.
I got to go home and see my family again.
Does it click yet?
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
I would have never had the chance to see my daughter become a doctor.
I was able to go to my brother's graduation.
I wouldn't have adopted my first pet.
And then it clicked. My seatbelt saved my life. Does it click yet?
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
Think a bunch of IT gurus would have anything in common with a dominant college volleyball team? Hey Lincoln, I'm Ed Knott, president of Applied Connective, serving Nebraska businesses for nearly 20 years. We're proud to have a few things in common with our beloved Huskers, namely that we're also a group of hardworking and highly skilled individuals that make up one dynamic team. From our IT and cybersecurity all-stars to our phone, physical security, infrastructure, and audio-video pros, we're one team that can expertly manage all your technologies. Discover why it's a game changer to partner with us at appliedconnective.com. And as always, go Big Red.
Returns on the farm are under pressure, with market challenges and environmental hurdles putting every seed to the test. But you have an ace in the hole, Streamline Ag. Designed for every phase of growth and development, Streamline Ag gives your seed what it needs to thrive, from enhanced stand establishment and early emergence to essential nutrition and stress management. Streamline Ag gives your seed the power to reach its full potential. Visit us at streamline-ag.com to learn more.
Woodhouse has been a trusted partner in your everyday since 1975. Shop for your next vehicle with the home team at Woodhouse and the official auto dealer of Nebraska Athletics. Troy Dannon with us on Nebraska's AD Show. Appreciate Troy Vincent, Senior NFL Executive VP of Football Ops, for joining us, talking all things flag football as well. All right, Troy, we did get a spring game date from Matt Rule when he came in last week, March 28th, a little bit of an earlier spring, but we got a pretty good men's basketball team as well. And if you look on Twitter, you got the Elite Eight, you got the spring game clashing together. So your thoughts there?
Yeah, first world problems,
yes.
To be sure. You know, I know. We won't know if there's a potential Elite Eight game on day of the spring until the selection day. We'll know how it plays out. Excuse me, but even if there's a game on that day, we know those Elite Eight games are late afternoon and evening. So the one thing we can't have is any conflict, and there's also events going on campus that day. So I would anticipate, at the very least, it'll be an 11 a.m. type kick for the spring game. So there's definitely no overlap along with any Elite Eight game. Whether or not the spring game actually has to move off of that date. We do know there is some absoluteness, though. We know those games are going to be late afternoon and evening, and we also have softball, baseball that day. I think softball may be UCLA, which is the big one of the baseball has a big. I think it's Indiana so big series that I also would like to avoid conflicting with games. And if you could play at 11 a.m. and let everybody get out and watch softball and baseball and then get home and watch the Huskers fight to get into the Final Four, that would be an ideal situation for all of us.
Yeah, it's first world problems, but out there, if you're worried, that they are aware of the possible collision on those dates. Yeah. Men's hoops, wow. That's where I'll start. How fun has this been for you just to watch?
Yeah, it's, exceedingly fun. But, it's so many people have high regard for Fred. And I think everybody I talk to, amazing. I'm so happy for Fred. Amazing. I think, Fred's a hell of a coach. And people are quick to throw dirt on coaches sometimes when things don't go as they expect them to go with the immediacy that they expected. But Fred's a great example for everyone in this business in college athletics that when you have good people who happen to be good coaches, and you need to give them time to figure out what works. And Fred figured that out. The last 3 years, we're headed toward a third consecutive 20-win season. I think the crown last year, I was probably the most hesitant person on whether we should even play in the crown. Fred was just absolute that we need to do this. And I think the benefits of that tournament last year are still being felt today. I talked to Fox Sports, who puts the crown on, talked to them in Miami, and just I said, man, thanks for that tournament, because it taught us to play in a championship environment, win or go home. And that success we had has carried over mentally. Cale Jacobson, went from who was Cale Jacobson to really probably our MVP of that tournament last year. And now, I think I saw a stat, if he plays 10 minutes a game, we haven't lost. So, of course, we haven't lost if he plays 1 minute a game this year either. But when Cale's on the floor, but again, he came forward last year in that crown. So that was a real turning point, I think, for what's happening this year.
Yeah, there's no substitute for playing games and getting momentum, and it seems like it certainly has done that. Enhance your grilling game with a Nebraska-made grill from M Grills. Wood pellet and charcoal grills made to last with Nebraska values. Check them out at mgrills.com, a proud supporter of Husker Athletics. Final segment with Troy Denon. That is next.
At Woodhouse, it's more than just buying a car. It's about the experience. Our team is dedicated to making every visit seamless, enjoyable, and personalized to your needs. Explore a wide selection of vehicles, from SUVs and sedans to trucks and luxury models, all backed by expert guidance and exceptional service. Whether it's your first car or your next upgrade, discover why generations of drivers trust Woodhouse for a truly memorable experience. Visit us at woodhouse.com today.
There is no place like Nebraska, and there's no peace of mind like knowing you have a dedicated team of technology experts working for your business around the clock. Hey Lincoln, I'm Ed Knott, president of tech company Applied Connective. It's a privilege to serve our great state for nearly 2 decades now with managed IT, cybersecurity, phone systems, physical security, and audio-video solutions. Our team understands the importance of fitting you with the right technologies to help your business perform at its peak potential all day, every day. Discover more at appliedconnective.com and go Big Red.
Nebraskans are choosing chiropractic for better health. Why chiropractic? Because it's safe, drug-free, and a cost-effective treatment option for back and joint pain. Plus, all generations can benefit from natural chiropractic care. Choose chiropractic first for pain relief or to improve your mobility, athletic performance, or overall wellness. Make chiropractic your first choice for better health, and find a chiropractic physician near you at nebraskachiropractic.org. Get your life back with chiropractic.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
It's not a job. I don't start my day by logging in or end my shift by punching out. I don't have a corner office, but I do have a seat with a view. I get to see every sunrise and every sunset. And while I may technically be my own boss, I fully accept that I am not in charge. I'm a Nebraska corn farmer, and there's nothing else I would rather be.
Brought to you by the Nebraska Corn Board.
Spotting the perfect fit is kind of your thing. So when it comes to finding a used car, start your search at FordBlueAdvantage.com and find the perfect certified pre-owned vehicle at your local Ford dealer. One that comes with serious perks, like a thorough inspection, a Ford-backed warranty, even a Carfax report. Because you know what they say, the best finds are the ones that feel made for you. Ford Blue Advantage. Used car buying that's built for you. Available at participating dealers only. See your dealer for details and limitations.
Woodhouse has been a trusted partner in your everyday since 1975. Shop for your next vehicle with the home team at Woodhouse and the official auto dealer of Nebraska Athletics. Nebraska AD show here tonight with Troy Denon. We also appreciate Troy Vincent Sr. for joining us on the show. We do know this, the Big Ten football schedule will come out next week, so we'll know specific times and dates. We know who the Huskers will be playing next year, but we'll have the times and dates next week. Troy, I did want to mention this. Jim Hartung passing away last week, and for him, he's a legend of gymnastics around here, and of course, incredibly sad news for the program and for everybody who loves that sport. 2-time U.S. Olympian, an Olympic gold medalist, and an All-American, and a sad loss for the Huskers.
Yeah, and I when I got here and I was going around and meeting everybody, and I got the chance to meet Jim, I was kind of like, I know you, I watched you. When the Olympic Games were the sports that we got, that's all we got to see of sports. Like when I was growing up and watching him, and he battled through throat cancer, and he was still coaching. The athletes loved him, and to your point, if there's a Mount Rushmore of athletes here who've had the greatest impact in their sports. Jim's on it. Jim's George Washington on it for men's gymnastics. So great loss, tough. We happened to have an event at our house with some of the student athletes, and the gymnast, when you lose a coach in the middle, and I've never been a part of a program that loses a coach in the middle of the season, those coaches become your father, your mentor, your leader, your guide, and it's hard on the athletes as well. But part of the life lessons for those athletes, you overcome those things that happen. Condolences to Jim and his family and everybody who's a part of that gymnastics program and the relationships he built here. Just a great man. I think the gymnasts, will honor him in every way they can as they compete through the rest of the season, and our thoughts are going to be with Jim all through.
Yeah, heavy hearts with Husker Nation for sure, and other sports going on as well. Wrestling, I've been told the Iowa experience when Iowa comes here for wrestling is one of the best atmospheres. So I might check that out on Friday. But big weekend for wrestling coming up. Track and field, we had Coach St. Clair in here last week to talk about the upcoming season. Women's gymnastics, busy time of year. It is. It's a busy time of year, but a lot of high expectations. Wrestling is they got out of the gates, had some injuries, and it was a little slower, but they're wrestling really well. This is a big weekend because Ohio State coming in, I think ranked number 2, coming in on Sunday. So big home wrestling weekend. I think we passed Iowa as a program last year, but we didn't beat them in the duel. So I think this is big for everyone associated with the wrestling program. But I think we saw softball come out ranked 9th in the preseason. We had baseball, 2-time defending conference champion. A lot to look forward to. That's the neat thing in Nebraska. There's always great things to look forward to. We have some elite athletes in track and field. Indoor championships coming up in about 6-7 weeks, which is not that far away. It's hard to believe the Diamond Sports are going to be playing here outdoors. We've been fairly fortunate in the weather. I'm not sure about this weekend, but fairly fortunate in the weather. They've gotten to go outdoors. So, yeah, it's good times. And we talk a lot about men's basketball, but the women's basketball team, I think from a net standpoint, 18. The Big Ten is a ridiculously rugged women's baskall league, but they're still fighting to host. The top 16 host, top 16 seeds, and so there's some games ahead for them that get on a streak, and we have the potential of hosting that opening weekend at PBA with the women. So a lot to keep our focus and attention on. Yeah, a lot of great stuff. Troy, thanks so much for coming in. We covered a lot of topics, which we usually do. This is one of the highlights of my month when I get a chance to chat with you. Well, you need to find more to do every month, but I appreciate you. Thanks. So a lot coming up here on the network. We'll have women's basketball, men's basketball as they continue their season, softball, baseball, all that coming up on the Huskers Radio Network. Big thanks to Troy Dannon, of course, for joining us for the hour in studio. Troy Vincent, Senior NFL Executive VP of Football Operations. This has been the Nebraska AD Show.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
Dear Weekend, Toyota trucks are raring to go. Gearing up for fall, Tundra is all in for hauling. Campers, ATVs, Tundra's got the muscle to move it. Going off the beaten path? Tacoma says, let's do this. With handling that tackles tough trails and the backbone to take you where the pavement can't. Both trucks pack sweet tech, posh cabins, and Toyota's legendary reliability. So whether it's a fishing trip at dawn, tailgate at noon, or a remote sunset at, sunset, these trucks are built to make every weekend epic. Find yours at Toyota.com. Toyota, Let's go places.
See your Omaha Metro and Lincoln Toyota dealers, Baxter Toyota of La Vista, Baxter Toyota of Lincoln, Corwin Toyota of Bellevue, or Village Point Toyota of Omaha.
And now, introducing the starting lineup of your Nebraska Huskers. Starring Aloe Fiber. At number 1, Aloe Internet. At number 2, no satellite dish required. Direct TV through Aloe. And at number 3, Aloe Mobile. Aloe Fiber, the official internet, TV, and mobile partner of Husker Nation. Level up your game and go to aloefiber.com/Husker Radio.
Nebraskans are choosing chiropractic for better health. Why chiropractic? Because it's safe, drug-free, and a cost-effective treatment option for back and joint pain. Plus, all generations can benefit from natural chiropractic care. Choose chiropractic first for pain relief or to improve your mobility, athletic performance, or overall wellness. Make chiropractic your first choice for better health and find a chiropractic physician near you at nebraskachiropractic.org. Get your life back with chiropractic.
Good evening, I'm Duke Root, and our sports ticker is brought to you by the experienced advisors at Stonebridge Wealth Systems. The number 7 Nebraska men's basketball team used an early run to take control en route to taking down Washington 76-66 last night. With the win, Nebraska moved to 19-0 and extended its nation-leading win streak to 23 games dating back to last season. While the Huskers came away with the win, they did not come away completely healthy, as reigning Big Ten Freshman of the Week Braden Frager exited the game early with an ankle injury. Fred Hoiberg said that it is an ankle sprain and he is considered day-to-day. Jalen Reyes has been promoted to associate head coach for the Nebraska volleyball program. Announced today, Reyes joined the Huskers staff in 2018 and completed his 8th season as an assistant coach and recruiting coordinator on the Huskers staff in 2025. With Reyes on staff, the Huskers have been to the NCAA championship match 3 times and won the Big Ten titles in 2023, 24, and 25. Our sports ticker is brought to you by Stonebridge Wealth Systems, navigating you to and through retirement of your dreams. Local advisors, a disciplined process, the retirement compass. Visit stonebridgeiwm.com. Coming up next is Hour 2 of Sports Nightly right here on the Huskers Radio Network.
Coming to you live from Memorial Stadium, it's Sports Nightly. All the Huskers, all the time. Sports Nightly is presented to you by the NDOT Highway Safety Office, who remind you to buckle up and put the phone down.
Skip pass, deep left corner. Phillips drives past Hoiberg. Jump stop. He's just picked his pocket. Just took that ball right away from him. Hoiberg on the other end. Drives that puppy. Lays it up and in. He did it on the defensive end. He took it all the way down and scored. Now the drive on the right side to Kropp. Drop step, puts it up, missed the shot. Ball tip, Jacobson to Hoiberg. Looks up the floor, gets it back to Jacobson. Throws it to Sanford, shoots up a 30-footer. Bang-a-Reno. Holy smokes. The Huskers are on fire.
Flips it out top to Hargrove, defended by Sotillo. Amaya goes down the left lane line around Sotillo and gives Nebraska the lead. Amaya's got 19.
She's got 7 straight for the Big Red.
Now, here are your hosts, Jessica Coody and Kyle Crooks on the Huskers Radio Network.
And welcome back, hour number 2 of Sports Nightly. I'm Jessica Coody, joined by Kyle Crooks, and also very, very special guest, because it is about time for our favorite season. Well, one of our favorite seasons. I can't be biased around here. One of our favorite people on campus, Rhonda Revelle. I'm so happy to see you, and I'm so happy that we are now 2 weeks away from the start of the season.
It's great to be here, but you know how you play that safe? You just say whatever season's in season is your favorite season. That's what multi-sport athletes do.
I have this sweatshirt that says basketball is my favorite season. I just need it for every season. But welcome. Can you believe it's almost time again?
I know. I was thinking about that yesterday. In 2 weeks, we'll be leaving for our first trip.
I let Kyle hop in on this one because, he's kind of a softball guy, too.
Yeah, so I spent 8 years calling softball with the Florida Gators, and so I love the sport, and, seeing the hype and the expectation of this Nebraska softball team, I feel like I'm back in Gainesville with the expectation with the Gators, and it's baseball and softball season, but it doesn't feel like it outside. I'm looking at my 10-day weather, and it's like, I know you got the indoor and all that, but practicing outdoors is pretty tough nowadays.
We've actually been out a couple times, and Kyle, I actually knew about your softball background, so welcome, and we look forward to your excitement and input. But we were outside yesterday for an hour. I mean, that's about as long as we could be out there, but it was really, it's anytime we can get outside, especially on dirt, grounders for our infielders, and just balls in the sky for the outfield. And I think, we make do in the northern climate, but when we get a day like that, it's just like super, super blessing.
Mm-hmm. And let me ask this, Jess. Does it matter in the first couple weeks of the year, do you sense there's an acclimation process because you're doing a lot of indoor work, that all of a sudden you're outdoors and you're playing games that for these players, there's got to be a little bit of an acclimation process? There
is. I think oftentimes you'll see it like with the batter's eye, like the distance, just the backdrop being different for hitters. But I will say again, I feel like if we can get out there a few times, like I feel like our infielders were pretty smooth on the dirt. That was the 3rd time we've been on the dirt in 2 weeks, which is incredible for it being January. I also think that you kind of prepare yourself for it mentally, and you might notice it a little bit when we start, but I feel within a week or two, we're caught back up.
Well, pretty much every preseason poll, I think, is in, and Huskers anywhere from 9 to 11, I think 10-1. Jordy Fromm has received, I think, every preseason award possible at this point. You got a lot of players back from last season, added a couple of key pieces, but how do you feel about where this team is going into the start of the season?
Well, first of all, Jessica, what I'm so excited about is that from all those things that you just mentioned, we haven't even talked about it as a team. And that's what I'm so excited about. There's a calm expectation of what's going on in our clubhouse and in our locker room and with our team. And we're also we are unified in how we want to approach it with a real process-oriented mindset. And I think we all, the biggest thing I said to the team after last year, we knew we could have a special season, and I felt like we did. But it really took until postseason to believe it, head to toe, that we belonged on that stage. And I think that is the advantage of heading into this season. We know what we have, but we don't have to, beat our chest or show our Superman cape or anything like that. I think there's a calmness that goes with that feels really good.
You sense there was an angst after the Super Regional. What a Super Regional it was. I remember watching that in the booth and just seeing how close that was. And Carlin Pickens is just an incredible athlete, and having to go up against her in a best of three it's a nightmare. That's the reality. But you also have Jordy too. But the angst to get back to, you have an older team, but get back to it after how last season ended so close to Oklahoma City.
I think that's what we spent a lot of time, even in the conversations that we had in the summer, and then what we've worked on a lot in the fall, because that angst can turn into exactly what you're talking about, a little anxiety or pressure. Sure. And I don't think anybody performs their best when they're feeling that. And so we have really almost tried to walk it back and just really focus on being hyper present in the moment. And because they are mature athletes, they want to do it for Nebraska. I mean, the connection that they have, some of the ways that we're channeling our energy, I really love. I mean, our focus is on loving and serving and caring about this team, about Nebraska, about all the things that can create joy and connection. And while all that stuff may seem flowery, I don't mean it flowery at all, because there's still a really high standard. And in some ways, when we can walk down that lane and be in that lane, we actually hit the standard more naturally. I know it sounds hokey, but...
Yeah. Okay, so in Jordy, it was Jordy Bahl last year. Now it's Jordy Fromm. She got married throughout the off season. But it was the first time we got to see with her with a bat in her college career, and you saw it growing up her entire life. And but I think she really surprised a lot of people how good she was at both. And throughout the entire course of the season, she was so quick to defer to her teammates and didn't want to make it about her. But now that she's going into her final season playing collegiate softball, how have you seen her approach? How might she even top what she did last year?
So... You're right. We saw her whole career. She surprised other people, but she didn't surprise us all. I would imagine, again, I always let her speak for herself, but I would imagine she's approaching this season the way she's approached every season she's played of her life. What can I do to help the team win? And so whether it's hitting, base running, pitching, playing first base, cheering from the dugout, whatever it is, she's gonna work to do that. And I don't think she's even thinking about one accolade that she received and how do I top that. I think her thing is, how long can we make this season last?
I remember watching from afar and just seeing Jordy's numbers. Of course, an excellent pitcher. We knew that at Oklahoma. And then see that you can't possibly sustain this offensively, what she's doing. It's just the average, the power that she hit for. It's amazing. And let me ask you this, because I know one of the questions, some of the questions that fans will have, the depth in the pitching staff this year. What do you like from some of the other arms that you have behind Jordy?
Yeah, I'm really excited about the depth in our pitching staff. So most notably is adding Alexis Jensen, a freshman from Gretna, a lefty. And even though like some of her pitches, like Jordy has a great rise ball, so does Lex, coming from the right side and the left side, they just look like they're different pitches, right? They both have really good changeups. Again, right and left side, they're both really great competitors. The other thing that's been really nice is Kylie McGee is now a year post-surgery and hitting her stride again. So I think the three of them will get the most of our innings. But then we have Hannah Camazin, another two-way player that just, she just embraces her role. She's a drop ball, change-up pitcher. And if she can come in, like in regionals last year, she came in, we had 2 innings to go, and in 19 pitches had 2 innings pitched. I mean, she just induced ground balls and did her job, and she does it really well. But she's also really important in our hitting lineup and also in our outfield.
Hey, for Alexis Jensen, I'm told she is holding her own, and because I think a lot of people question, well, coming from high school to college, what does that look like? What will that impact look like for her? But day in and day out in practice, she's going up against one of the best offensive lineups in college softball, and what you have in your lineup returning. So how is she holding up and holding her own against this lineup?
She is definitely holding her own, and I think she just expects herself to come in and contribute, and that's half the battle, right? And so what she's doing in practice, there'll be pitches that she'll miss, and our offense will make her pay for it, but that's a win-win because she understands that I can't leave a ball on the plate. So they're helping each other get better, and that's really awesome. But, I mean, Lex is going to be in our rotation day one.
Yeah.
We mentioned the returners, half your roster are seniors, but not many years you could say essentially your entire infield is coming back. And how much of a comfort does that give you as a coach? One, it helps your lineup because you're getting all these bats back, but defensively on the dirt to have everybody back.
Yeah, it's really nice, and I know that one of the things, they're hungry. They're hungry to they had a good year last year. They want to have a great year this year defensively. It's really been fun in practice because they challenge me and our coaching staff to put together challenging, fast, practices that keep pushing the envelope. Like I'm always trying to add a wrinkle. Like how can I not mess with their minds, but just create a different part of practice that they've got to think about it differently or respond to differently. And every day we try to put a little different wrinkle in there just to add to that. And they keep responding. And even this morning, we've already had practice today. Even this morning, they did some things better than they've done them in the first 2 weeks.
You know, Ava Cusack, too, is one that she's also on almost every list that Jordy is as well, one of the top shortstops in the country. How important is she to that? And when you talk about elevating even defensively?
Well, on top of that, she's very important, but she's also been named as one of our captains along with Jordy and Alina Felix. But the reason she was named to being one of the captains, and people could look to her numbers from last year and go, oh, that only makes sense. That's only just a small part of it. She's such a force out there. She's such a voice. She's really an intelligent player. She can move and shift our defenses on the field, very naturally. So she's like a calming effect on our infield.
How about behind the plate? You lose Ava Breadwell, who was basically a 4-year starter for you and a really important leader for you as well. But you bring in Jessie Farrell out of UNLV, who my cousin Harley is a catcher nerd. She studies and she's a big fan of her. How is she back there at handling your pitching staff?
Your cousin Harley's really smart.
Well, she loves watching catchers.
I think about the quarterback that we just got from UNLV that everybody's using the word electric. Well, the quarterback behind the plate that we got from UNLV is electric.
Somebody asked me which one was the more impactful UNLV transfer. I think we've got an argument.
I mean, it might be arguable. I don't know the answer. We're going to have to let it play out on the field. But Jessie Farrell, the country will know her name. And here's what I will tell you about Jessie Farrell. Anybody that has watched her play, like Harley, who has a high IQ for the game, anybody that has that has contacted me and said, you got a really good catcher. So it's known.
What's building that relationship catcher to pitching staff, right? When somebody comes to a program, and a lot of people want to play with Jordy, right? But Jordy's not going to pitch 100% of the innings. Building the chemistry and the relationship with the entire pitching staff, how do you feel like that's gone?
I think it's gone really well. First of all, Jessie caught for Kylie McGee in club ball. So they already had that. And we do a really nice job every day of blending and mixing which catcher's going to catch which pitcher in their pen. So they, like this morning, Jessie was catching Kylie, so it's not that they're always being caught or pitching to the same catcher.
What In terms of innings for Jordy early in the year, what do you? I mean, are we looking at how do you feel like those innings will work out? Because you got so many big games to start the year, right? Like
that might be the understatement of the century.
How in the world is that going to work out?
Why did you schedule that?
Oh my gosh, you guys!
Hey, it's a resume booster when it comes down to it, right?
But that's where this program is. You guys are ready for it, right?
I know. But true story, I was at a little event with Troy Dannon the other day, and I said, Troy, just so you know, I think we probably have the strongest non-con in the country, and if we don't, I want to know who does. But it's by design. Mm-hmm. It is literally by design because we really felt like we want to have the opportunity to play ourselves in a position to host. And the only way you can do that is if you do that. Mm-hmm. Now, we've got to have success doing it, but if we don't put ourselves in that position, we don't even have that chance to potentially host both rounds. I mean, that's what we want to see if we can do it. And so where does Jordy factor in? Obviously, she's a big piece of that. But just like last year, we always kept the end in mind. And I thought she was still throwing really well at the end of the year. I mean, you saw it.
Yep.
And yet she threw more innings than she ever threw at her previous school by, I think, 60 innings. But she was able, she's very mature and takes great care of her body. She was very mature in how she handled her recovery and all that. So I don't have an exact answer for you, but I do feel like we have an additional arm in the staff where, we can spread it out a little bit more, hopefully, as we go through that preseason.
When we were diving into the defense, let's talk about the outfield. I know you added Hannah Core as well, but how does the outfield look for you here I guess, in the early goings?
Well, Hannah Core is a big addition, and you might remember Hannah from watching her play. I think Hannah's going to prove to be one of the best outfielders in the country, but I think another thing that might surprise people that's not going to surprise us is what she's going to do for us offensively. I think she's going to be an offensive threat that is going to be a menace to a lot of pitching staffs, and that's really exciting, and just really exciting to see her get out there and be able to play. And then, of course, we've got Casey Hoffman and Hannah Kamazena who had a lot of innings out there last year, as did Nat Hill, and Nessa McMillan would also work into that mix. So we're going to have about, those five constantly, vying for some innings. And, depending on what kind of lineup we put out there, is it for a defensive purpose or an offensive purpose? But I feel like we have depth out there too.
Well, and at the plate, too, you had this problem a year ago. You got a lot of bats, a lot of players that are very good offensively. It's a good problem to have, right?
I had a high school coach come into fall practice, and he said, you've got more hitters than you have spots in your lineup for. And I said, good problem to have, right? Mm-hmm. And what that helps you do is it helps you work with matchups more. Mm-hmm. I mean, some of our players naturally hit the ball down in the zone a little harder than others, and some are really good in the upper part of the zone. And so it allows for matchup, whether it's a pinch hit or whether it's a DP or whether it's actually how you write the lineup that day.
Casey Hoffman, I remember her at Arkansas, part of a lineup that hit a million home runs. Mm-hmm. I mean, that was a lineup that just had so much power. And then you add a Hannah Core, too, who's hurt the Gators a lot in a World Series. But you have a Jordy and a Hannah and players that have played in big games, that have played in World Series games. That's where this program wants to be when it's all said and done. But bringing in players into the program that have played in regionals, super regionals, World Series, that experience matters, doesn't it?
It does. Just the poise and the calmness that comes with that. And there's an excitement, but it really is a poised excitement. And I think that obviously Jordy and Hannah have the lion's share of that experience, but it really makes a difference. And even having our players that are returning been in that environment last year at Super Regionals in Knoxville, which was an incredible environment to be a part of. I don't know if you've been in Knoxville, and their stands, it has that metal. So when they pound it, it's really, really loud. And it goes all the way around because they go all the way around in the outfield. So there's not a place where any of that noise can sneak out. So I think just playing in that, and I think that was actually one of the things that incentivized our team, that, man, we would love to host. We'd love to bring a super to regional to play as well, because we know what that environment did to us. We'd like to have somebody else have to be in that.
Husker Nation would show out for that.
Yes. Oh, no doubt.
Okay, so we were joking about it. But again, coming up Friday,
it's no
February
joke,
6th.
but we'll joke about it.
You got Washington and Texas. I mean, at the UTSA Invitational, UTSA, so a bunch of games there. Then you go to the Shriners Children's Clearwater Invitational, LSU, Georgia, Tennessee, UCF, and Texas Tech. Everybody knows that story. You got the Mary Nutter Collegiate Classic, one of the premier tournaments. So right off the bat here, again, challenging your team early, what will you be looking for out of your squad in these early goings?
That we're really playing with a lot of freedom, but with a lot of aggressiveness. And I think if we put those two things together, we're going to be able to be smart, and we're going to be able to see some success. I don't know what the record will be at the end of that, but I know we'll be a better team. Mm-hmm. And I think that when it comes to moments of needing their best to perform at a high level, I think if we add all those things together, we're going to be able to perform at a high level more consistently. And really, that's what we're looking for. The last thing I want for this team, because they've worked too hard, is for them to feel that pressure where it almost suffocates them. When you feel like, well, you all speak publicly all the time, but you know how sometimes it's just debilitating and you can't find the words? I want them to always be able to find their proverbial words when they're playing the game.
You think of all the variables early in the season, and also Oklahoma State on the back end of that. Kenny Gajewski's a team that they are routinely in Oklahoma City. But you spend a month on the road. It's from hotel to hotel, state to state. You're in the Southeast. You're going to California against all of these World Series caliber teams. One, it's an opportunity to build chemistry, right? Mm-hmm. Because you can't hide from each other when you're on the road. It's like when you're a big league team. If you don't get along and you're playing 162 games, that could be a rough time. But you feel like early in the season when you're on the road as much as you guys are, because you can't really play here in the Midwest this time of year. It's just too cold, too windy. But to build the camaraderie and the chemistry early in the years, that's probably just as important.
It is. And the memories that they make. I mean, I already feel like they've got that chemistry that you're talking about. They did a really beautiful job with that last year. And then as our newcomers have come in this year, they've just really assimilated nicely. When they're on the road, though, I just feel like they do little things to create memories. And that's part of the beauty of college athletics. I know we talk about so many other things right now, but really when they talk about their experience, even if they're 2 years down the road, a year down the road, they talk about the bus trips or all the things that create that connection. I mean, we all long for that team feeling and that connection. And anytime we can do that, the road lends itself to that a little more naturally.
All right, so it's a special group, and Husker fans are going to get a chance to meet them, get some autographs coming up on Saturday, the annual FanFest. It started, 3 years ago, and it's been a really neat event. And going to combine baseball and softball this year, so that's fun.
Doesn't that make sense?
Yes.
The bat and ball sports just bring it together. I mean, we share Haymarket Park. We're all right there together, so I think it's going to be a wonderful night. Let's cross our fingers that the weather holds out for us. But, we're really excited to get in front of our fans and baseball's fans, and maybe, who knows, maybe a softball fan will become a baseball fan and vice versa, and it'll all be good.
Hey, the best days are when you can just walk from one to the other and just check out both teams when you guys are both at home.
I have heard that a lot.
Okay, so 6 to 8 is the FanFest coming up on Saturday, and inside the Hawks Championship Center. It's free, so it should be a fun event. Get on out there and meet both these teams because, hey, in 2 weeks, you'll be on the road, and we're going to put you guys on the air.
Wow.
Nate's going to be on the air. More radio games this year.
Nice. Thanks.
Kyle and I are going to get the boot and go watch and enjoy as fans on TV and let Nate take over. So
awesome. That is super fun. Thank you.
That opening weekend, we will have Sounds of Husker Softball here on the Huskers Radio Network. Thank you so much. Always love chatting with you. Best of luck, and we'll talk to you soon.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And that's the head coach, Rhonda Revelle, for Husker Softball as they get set to open up the season coming up Friday, February 6th at the UTSA Invitational. Again, get on out to FanFest coming up on Saturday, 6 to 8 inside the Hawks Championship Center. Got to step aside for a break. More coming up right after this. Woodhouse has been a trusted partner in your everyday since 1975. Shop for your next vehicle with the home team at Woodhouse and the official auto dealer of Nebraska Athletics.
The work is dirty and sometimes dangerous. It's the kind that can break your body, and if you let it, your spirit. But while there may be better ways to make a living, you won't convince me there's a better way to live. I'm a Nebraska corn farmer, and there's nothing else I would rather be.
Brought to you by the Nebraska Corn Board.
With Progressive's Name Your Price tool, you get coverage options based on how much you want to pay for car insurance. And then you decide how to spend the rest of your money, because you're in charge. And right now, you're going to pay for groceries. But you decide what groceries. Just keep in mind you're running out of dishwashing soap. But you decide if you're going to buy that soap. Just those dishes won't clean themselves, will they? Remember, with Progressive's Name Your Price tool, we'll help you find coverage at a fair price. And then you're in charge. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Not available in all states. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
Returns on the farm are under pressure, with market challenges and environmental hurdles putting every seed to the test. But you have an ace in the hole. Streamline Ag. Designed for every phase of growth and development, Streamline Ag gives your seed what it needs to thrive. From enhanced stand establishment and early emergence to essential nutrition and stress management. Streamline Ag gives your seed the power to reach its full potential. Visit us at streamline-ag.com to learn more.
Since 1975, Woodhouse has proudly served our customers and communities. From one dealership to over 21 dealerships across Nebraska and Iowa, our promise remains the same. A wide selection of vehicles, trusted service, and financing that fits your life. We believe in honest people, fair prices, and relationships built to last. Because it's not just about the road ahead, it's about traveling it together. Start your journey at woodhouse.com.
I would have never had the chance to see my daughter become a doctor.
Because my mom wore her seatbelt that day, I get to hug her when I go home.
And then it clicked. Because I wore my seatbelt, I learned that one moment in time can change a person's life forever.
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
The day we were hit was the second to last day of our high school careers.
We were about to graduate as best friends together.
And then it clicked. Because we wore our seatbelt that day, we still get to experience life together.
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
From the chant of Husker power to Aloe Fiber powering your home and Husker Nation, Aloe is the teammate you can trust. Whether you're streaming at home with Aloe Internet, watching on the go with DirecTV through Aloe, or checking stats and scores on Aloe Mobile, Aloe keeps you in the game. With Aloe plus DirecTV plus Aloe Mobile, you get the ultimate teamwork. Internet you can count on, TV you can stream anytime, anywhere, and nationwide coverage you can depend on. Bench the other guys and team up with the official internet, TV, and mobile partner of the Huskers.
Dear Weekend, Toyota trucks are raring to go. Gearing up for fall, Tundra is all in for hauling. Campers, ATVs, you know Tundra's got the muscle to move it. Going off the beaten path? Tacoma says, let's do this. With handling that tackles tough trails and the backbone to take you where the pavement can't. Both trucks pack sweet tech, posh cabins, and Toyota's legendary reliability. So whether it's a fishing trip at dawn, tailgate at noon, or a remote sunset at, well, sunset, these trucks are built to make every weekend epic. Find yours at Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
See your Omaha Metro and Lincoln Toyota dealers, Baxter Toyota of La Vista, Baxter Toyota of Lincoln, Corwin Toyota of Bellevue, or Village Point Toyota of Omaha.
The Nebraska Women's Basketball Coaches Show is sponsored by Union Bank and Trust, where people don't have your money has people. Welcome back to Sports Nightly, and we welcome in the head coach of Nebraska Women's Basketball, Amy Williams. Coach, thanks for being here with us. I want to talk about last night's game and also big weekend for you guys, but just had Rhonda Revelle in. You guys are really close friends. If you've listened to you on across our programming, you guys are really, really close, and a lot of excitement for that program here as they get started here in 2 weeks.
Yeah, exciting to see where they're standing in the preseason polls. I know they are very excited to kick things off. They've been working hard all off season, and it's just been fun for me to be able to learn from Rhonda and be able to, pull from the things that she does to help build culture in her program, and something that I'm really excited to watch her team this year.
She said, "Give you a hug." That's her, right? That's her to a T.
Yes, for sure. Absolutely. She knows she's just a connector of people, and she knows exactly what her her players need, what her, friends need, what her, colleagues need. And she's just pours into a lot of people.
Well, a tough one for you guys at Wisconsin last night. Another close loss, 63-60. I know you, in your post game, you talked a lot about the rebounding battle, but what was your messaging for the team following that one?
Yeah, I mean, it's just tough. We feel like we've had a lot of really close games against, really tough Big Ten opponents that have kind of slipped through our fingers with either just a lack of execution late or, rebounding seems to be kind of a message that continues to be a hindrance for us. So, at some point, something's going to have to change, and we're going to have to figure out a way to take care of rebounding, and if we want to give ourselves a chance.
I know, obviously, you knew it'd be fixed, but what goes into being improved rebounding and being better in that area?
Yeah, I mean, we feel like there's, a lot of things that go into it. And, as a coach for our accountability, we, feel like things that are tolerated, are the things that are happening or things that we've maybe allowed or are tolerating. And so it's something where we've got to be much more accountable to missed box outs or lack of focus on that. But I also think just, individual like technique and being a little bit more physical, being willing to kind of have some contact, not having a defeated attitude towards it, and just really putting a mindset to lock in and know that, this is something we're all capable of, and it's just about kind of going to do it consistently.
It's kind of everybody's got to do it, right? You can't have one person not doing their job, right?
Right. Yeah. It seems like, we'll have 4 great box outs. The one person that misses one, that's the one that ends up with the offensive rebound. So it is a consistency thing. It's everybody's got to do their job, and everybody has to find a way to contribute. Even if your player is getting back in safety mode, then we need you rebounding down and helping out. And, so I think it's something that it's a team effort.
Had dug yourselves a little bit of a hole at halftime. What did you like that you saw out of the team in the third quarter to allow for you guys to get back in that game and take the lead?
Yeah, I mean, we had a great third quarter. We came out, I thought we created a little bit of offense from our defense, and were able to force some turnovers that led to some, offense with pace. And our team is our best when we're playing with pace. We know that. And so something where anytime we can get our hands on the ball defensively, cause deflections, tips, be a little bit more aggressive, then good things usually come.
When you talk about being in these situations where it's a one-score game at the end, and tough one at Michigan State as well, how do you get this group over the hump where you pull out when the games might be close in these types of situations?
Yeah, we just have to continue to execute, work on execution, work on, understanding the game, how we want to be able to defend, where and when we need to get stops, and how that's going to happen, and just being a little bit more disciplined to execute late game.
So got a big one coming up on Saturday. It's the Pack PBA game, which we'll talk about. But when you also talk about a team coming off a disappointing loss and going into a matchup where, hey, there's no rest for the weary, right? I mean, how do you get your team back up and ready to go for another big one on Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, it's just why the players that are in our program came to Nebraska, is to play in this Big Ten conference, to be able to be challenged every night, night in, night out, against the best in the country. It's another top 25 team in the country coming in here this weekend, and it's going to be a battle. It's going to be a war, and that's why we, sometimes when you're in the fight, it's like, oh man, why did I choose to be in this fight? Because it is a battle, but it is the thing that competitors really crave, is just that ability to go up against the best in the country and to have great opportunity in front of you all the time.
All right, well, tell us about this matchup. What makes Illinois a challenge?
Yeah, well, they're a really tough team. They're a really good rebounding team. They play with great pace in transition. They are effective off ball screens. They have a player in Barry Wallace that's kind of a forward that has guard-like skills, and she's just really pacing them right now. But you partner her with a lot of really good supporting cast players that can really push pace, and versatile players that can shoot around her, and it just makes their team dangerous.
All right, so keys in this one for you guys.
keys will be, transition defense, but I think, our focus will really be heavy on rebounding.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so Pack PBA, we've been pushing it for the last couple of weeks. It's become kind of this annual thing. You guys have broken records. I remember you and I sitting here, 2-3 years ago, talking about wanting to sell out inside Pinnacle Bank Arena. But as we make the push to Pack PBA, how important is this day for your program?
Yeah, I'm just excited. I think Husker Nation has been behind this team all year. We've been really pleased with the way the team has been supported. We're excited to have another great crowd out here, and just hoping to, really play off the energy that comes in Pinnacle Bank Arena and find a way to get back to our winning ways.
What does that rockin' crowd do for not just your current teams, but maybe some potential Huskers when they look and see that kind of rockin' atmosphere? Yeah, well, I know it played a huge part in a lot of the players that we've welcomed into our program at this point, but also we'll have some recruitable athletes that will be here on Saturday to experience that. And so I think it's an environment where young women really enjoy being able to play in front of crazy Husker fans that are just so loud and supportive. And it definitely plays a huge part. I'm sure you got a lot of faith in some of your leaders like Callan Hake to have this team kind of refocused, reset, and ready to go. Yeah, we're going to lean heavy on players like Callan Hake right now. It's easy to have great chemistry and culture and to be, playing with joy and to celebrate each other's successes when things are going good. The challenge comes when you have those rough patches, and how well can we handle ourselves in those rough times, and how well can we lean into each other and find ways to pour into one of our teammates, and I think right now that's what's going to define the rest of our season. All right, best of luck coming up to you on Saturday. Thanks, Jess. Again, coming up on Saturday against Illinois, it's the Pack PBA game, 1:00 tip. We will have the call for you starting here on the Huskers Radio Network at 12:30 with Matt Coatney and Jeff Greach. And again, not too late if you want to be inside the building. It should be a fun matchup coming up on Saturday. Huskers.com/Pack PBA. Contact 811 2 days before you dig to protect your underground utilities and yourself. It's free, it's easy, it's the log. And that's the head coach, Amy Williams, here with us on Sports Nightly. Got to step aside for a break. More coming up right after this.
Spotting the perfect fit is kind of your thing. So when it comes to finding a used car, start your search at FordBlueAdvantage.com and find the perfect certified pre-owned vehicle at your local Ford dealer. One that comes with serious perks, like a thorough inspection, a Ford-backed warranty, even a Carfax report. Because you know what they say, the best finds are the ones that feel made for you. Ford Blue Advantage. Used car buying that's built for you. Available at participating dealers only. See your dealer for details and limitations.
Nebraskans are choosing chiropractic for better health. Why chiropractic? Because it's safe, drug-free, and a cost-effective treatment option for back and joint pain. Plus, all generations can benefit from natural chiropractic care. Choose chiropractic first for pain relief or to improve your mobility, athletic performance, or overall wellness. Make chiropractic your first choice for better health, and find a chiropractic physician near you at nebraskachiropractic.org. Get your life back with chiropractic.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
Dear Weekend, Toyota trucks are raring to go. Gearing up for fall, Tundra is all in for hauling. Campers, ATVs, you know Tundra's got the muscle to move it. Going off the beaten path? Tacoma says, let's do this. With handling that tackles tough trails and the backbone to take you where the pavement can't. Both trucks pack sweet tech, posh cabins, and Toyota's legendary reliability. So whether it's a fishing trip at dawn, tailgate at noon, or a remote sunset at, sunset, these trucks are built to make every weekend epic. Find yours at Toyota.com. Toyota. Let's go places.
See your Omaha Metro and Lincoln Toyota dealers, Baxter Toyota of La Vista, Baxter Toyota of Lincoln, Corwin Toyota of Bellevue, or Village Point Toyota of Omaha.
Noddle Companies proudly supports the Huskers Radio Network. As a full-service leader in commercial real estate, we create thriving communities. Discover what's new in the Builders District in North Downtown, Noddle Hospitality's latest venture in Aksarben Village, and the contemporary living of row house townhomes on Leavenworth. We're welcoming world-class concepts from men's fashion and great eats to gorgeous homes and green spaces, all professionally managed by Noddle Services. These are the Noddle Companies, building a better Nebraska. For more information, check us out on Facebook and Instagram.
I got to see my brother get married.
I would have missed my dad's birthday.
Because I wore my seatbelt, I had the privilege of being part of his special day.
I got to go home and see my family again.
Does it click yet?
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
I would have never had the chance to see my daughter become a doctor.
I was able to go to my brother's graduation.
I wouldn't have adopted my first pet.
And then it clicked. My seatbelt saved my life. Does it click yet?
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
Think a bunch of IT gurus would have anything in common with a dominant college volleyball team? Hey Lincoln, I'm Ed Knott, president of Applied Connective, serving Nebraska businesses for nearly 20 years. We're proud to have a few things in common with our beloved Huskers, namely that we're also a group of hardworking and highly skilled individuals that make up one dynamic team. From our IT and cybersecurity all-stars to our phone, physical security, infrastructure, and audio-video pros, we're one team that can expertly manage all your technologies. Discover why it's a game changer to partner with us at appliedconnective.com. And as always, go Big Red.
Returns on the farm are under pressure, with market challenges and environmental hurdles putting every seed to the test. But you have an ace in the hole, Streamline Ag. Designed for every phase of growth and development, Streamline Ag gives your seed what it needs to thrive, from enhanced stand establishment and early emergence to essential nutrition and stress management. Streamline Ag gives your seed the power to reach its full potential. Visit us at streamline-ag.com to learn more.
The Huskers Radio Network Broadcast Center is sponsored by Akrs, the Midwest premier John Deere dealer, supplying the equipment and service to advance agriculture and much more. Akrs, solutions for every field. Welcome back to Sports Nightly. Just a couple more segments left. What a busy show. Kyle Crooks, I'm Jessica Coody. Of course, I had the first hour with Troy Danendag and flag football. It's been a ladies' night a little bit tonight with flag football talk, and then softball, which is about to start. Another top 10 team here in Lincoln, and Amy Williams. Hopefully get back in the win column coming up on Saturday.
Everything's school, right? We just don't talk just football around here, right? We want to talk about everything because everybody cares about everything. With softball starting up soon, it's crazy to think just the way the weather has been. You look at the 10-day forecast, and we're talking in the negatives, and we're already talking about stick and ball sports. With softball and baseball, I have Coach Bolt on the program coming up in a couple weeks as they'll start a little bit after softball. And then women's basketball, a tough one last night, but they're going to have a fun environment that they're going to walk into this coming weekend. And then men's basketball continues to roll. So wrestling this weekend as well, which will be out at tomorrow. So a lot to do.
Okay, so men's basketball, another one in the win column. A little bit of a tough news. They've been very fortunate on the injury front. Well, I guess I say that, but then you have Connor, CJ, and Oogie. You've had your tough blows, but they've been able to work through it with the lineup that they've had the last couple of months. But Braden Frager, certainly a candidate to be not only Sixth Man of the Year, Freshman of the Year, has been playing unbelievable, coming off being named Big Ten Freshman of the Week. Fortunately, tweaked his ankle, looked to be serious. I think people were holding their breath a little bit. He left early in the game against Washington. He came back in street clothes, but being reported, and hopefully it's a day-to-day thing. It's a sprained ankle, and they'll hopefully be able to get him back. And look, at this point, we talked about this the other night. This is a team that's put themselves into a great position, and while you want it, you need to keep winning and taking care of business. We're also talking now about not just making the NCAA tournament and winning a game, potentially making a run in the tournament, and you need a guy like Frager to be healthy, fully healthy. So I think they will be smart and try to get him back fully before they push anything with him, because he's a piece that's needed to do, I think, some of the things that this team wants to do come March.
Yeah, I mean, he's potentially the sixth player of the year, sixth man of the year in the Big Ten. Quite possibly the freshman of the year in the Big Ten. So it goes without saying that he's a massive piece to what you want to do on both ends of the floor. And that was a hold your breath moment 4 minutes into the game. We've all been there. If you've played the sport, I played it, and I hadn't played at the level they played at it. But when you turn your ankle, it could be pretty, at times you start to think the worst a little bit. And he was running up and down the floor a little bit, and then he, turn to the bench, and the camera shots on the bench. He has a boot on his foot, and that's never a good visual for a Husker fan. But credit to this team, the way others have stepped up. They're probably going to need more minutes out of Cale Jacobson on Saturday against Minnesota, which is a tough spot, early game on the road. And then you head into a 3-game stretch that is, you hope that you can get him back for on the road at Michigan. You're going to have Illinois and Purdue. Is a really, really tough 3-game stretch coming up. And that's not to discount what the Minnesota game is, because they're not overlooking that whatsoever. But hopefully you can get Braden back for that Michigan game, which is going to be massive.
Yeah. And again, I think they'll be very smart. And Coach Hoiberg talked about it last night. And look, it's part of the game, and you've got some older guys that understand the situation, so hopefully it's next man up, and you can get Braden healthy, and he can be back for us that stretch, but certainly later on in the season as well, and he can get back to what he was doing, which was a really, really special freshman season. All right, again, coming up on Saturday, big win for Husker women's basketball. Big win because it's Pack PBA, but also against Illinois, a team that's right there again. Going to be a really competitive matchup. And Husker women's basketball need to get back in the win column. So a lot on the line here coming up on Saturday. They need your help. And also, it's going to be the fun game where they got a lot of fun events going on, as it is the Pack PBA game. So Husker Nation, the countdown is on for one of the biggest women's basketball events of the year. Pack PBA coming up January 24th. This year we're heating things up with a Big Red Beach Party. Watch your Huskers take on Big Ten opponent Illinois, decked out in your best tropical gear with a specialty tropical drink in hand, all inside Pinnacle Bank Arena. Pack PBA is your tropical getaway right here in Lincoln. Get your tickets today at huskers.com/packpba. We're back to wrap up the show next.
Returns on the farm are under pressure, with market challenges and environmental hurdles putting every seed to the test. But you have an ace in the hole: Streamline Ag. Designed for every phase of growth and development, Streamline Ag gives your seed what it needs to thrive, from enhanced stand establishment and early emergence to essential nutrition and stress management. Streamline Ag gives your seed the power to reach its full potential. Visit us at streamline-ag.com to learn more.
With Progressive's Name Your Price tool, you get coverage options based on how much you want to pay for car insurance. And then you decide how to spend the rest of your money, because you're in charge. And right now, you're going to pay for groceries. But you decide what groceries. Just keep in mind you're running out of dishwashing soap. But you decide if you're going to buy that soap. Just those dishes won't clean themselves, will they? Remember, with Progressive's Name Your Price tool, we'll help you find coverage at a fair price. And then you're in charge. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Not available in all states. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
Spotting the perfect fit is kind of your thing. So when it comes to finding a used car, start your search at FordBlueAdvantage.com and find the perfect certified pre-owned vehicle at your local Ford dealer. One that comes with serious perks, like a thorough inspection, a Ford-backed warranty, even a Carfax report. Because you know what they say, the best finds are the ones that feel made for you. Ford Blue Advantage. Used car buying that's built for you. Available at participating dealers only. See your dealer for details and limitations.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
It's not a job. I don't start my day by logging in or end my shift by punching out. I don't have a corner office, but I do have a seat with a view. I get to see every sunrise and every sunset. And while I may technically be my own boss, I fully accept that I am not in charge. I'm a Nebraska corn farmer, and there's nothing else I would rather be.
Brought to you by the Nebraska Corn Board.
Spotting the perfect fit is kind of your thing. So when it comes to finding a used car, start your search at FordBlueAdvantage.com and find the perfect certified pre-owned vehicle at your local Ford dealer. One that comes with serious perks, like a thorough inspection, a Ford-backed warranty, even a Carfax report. Because you know what they say, the best finds are the ones that feel made for you. Ford Blue Advantage. Used car buying that's built for you. Available at participating dealers only. See your dealer for details and limitations.
The Huskers Radio Network Broadcast Center is sponsored by Akrs, the Midwest premier John Deere dealer, supplying the equipment and service to advance agriculture and much more. Akrs, solutions for every field. Welcome back. Final segment here, Sports Nightly on this Thursday night edition. So Kyle mentioned this briefly in the last segment, but we've got a big weekend for Husker wrestling coming up starting tomorrow night. 2 top 10 matchups coming up on Friday night. Tomorrow night, it's Iowa. We all know the history there. And then on Sunday, it's Ohio State, another team that's right there going to be competing for national title, Big Ten title. So big weekend. And we are going to take Sports Nightly on location. I'm going to be out there at Devaney. It's going to be wild. I'm excited. You're going to be here in studio, but we're going to have some fun, I guess, leading up to that first bout in the duel against Iowa.
It's going to be just as crazy in studio. I heard Camden's actually going to yell in my ear for the entire show. So we're going to try and recreate what Devaney's going to be here in studio. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Are you, I feel like you need to get your macho man voice ready to go, like your
I'm
old
ready.
School wrestling.
You know Jim Ross, by the way.
Yes.
Who's
you bring
in
that
your
up
phone
like once a week. That's like your training table reference. That and training table.
He is the GOAT when it comes to wrestling. Now, it's not this type. It's professional wrestling, but that is the soundtrack of my childhood. I would love to call one of these bouts on Big Ten Plus and just do a full Jim Ross impersonation. I don't think it'd go over well, but I just want to do it once for kicks.
Well, it's going to be fun, but also, again, an important weekend. But Brock Hardy's going for win number 100. Would be fitting to do it against Iowa. So lots of fun storylines. We're going to dive into all of that and get you set for that. I'm excited. I talked to Coach Manning yesterday at the training table. So if you're keeping track, there
it is.
There is our training table. Yes.
Ding.
Training table drop of the night happens in the fourth segment, but hey, we got it done. But I saw him at the training table, told him we were going to do this. He is fired up, and so it's going to be fun. And you want to talk about one of those atmospheres that's a must-see. It is this one, Iowa and Nebraska wrestling.
You think of their stretch. So they go on the road, top 10 Minnesota team, and then you have number 4 Iowa, and we know how the success Iowa's had as a wrestling program, and then number 2 Ohio State. Number 4, number 2 back-to-back here in the Big Ten. It doesn't get much bigger than that. I'm sure it'll be a massive student section out there, massive crowds at Devaney, and these are massive bouts.
You know, I was talking yesterday at the training table. There you go again, with a group of people, and they were asking about the Athletic Director Cup standings, which last year was Nebraska's highest finish. And while maybe not where we were at the end of the winter sports, because soccer didn't make the postseason and volleyball missed out on the Final Four, but this season now, as we start the season, you got a lot of these teams that will be racking up those points, wrestling being one of those. Men's gymnastics has started off the season. They're also ranked in the top 5. So you got just talk to Rhonda, Revelle. The ball bat sports are really important to that. So a lot of these teams, as we get this thing rolling, and some of these teams, hitting into the heat of their conference season, but then these other sports starting up, are a lot of the sports that you have high expectations for here in Lincoln.
Yeah, and there's we talked to Coach St. Clair last week, track and field, and what their expectations are for the indoor season, then eventually the outdoor season. Wrestling's big, softball, baseball have incredibly high expectations. You can go up and down the list. This is why, and I've said it before, Nebraska is truly an everything school.
All right, well, that is going to do it for us. Should be a fun 2 hours coming up for you tomorrow night here on Sports Nightly. We'll have some fun out at the Devaney Center leading into the big duel coming up between Nebraska and Iowa wrestling. Thanks to everybody for making this thing happen. It was a fun show. We had a lot to get to, but appreciate you tuning in, and we'll talk to you tomorrow night here on Sports Nightly.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
Dear Weekend, Toyota trucks are raring to go. Gearing up for fall, Tundra is all in for hauling. Campers, ATVs, you know Tundra's got the muscle to move it. Going off the beaten path? Tacoma says, let's do this. With handling that tackles tough trails and the backbone to take you where the pavement can't. Both trucks pack sweet tech, posh cabins, and Toyota's legendary reliability. So whether it's a fishing trip at dawn, tailgate at noon, or a remote sunset at, well, sunset. These trucks are built to make every weekend epic. Find yours at Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
See your Omaha Metro and Lincoln Toyota dealers, Baxter Toyota of La Vista, Baxter Toyota of Lincoln, Corwin Toyota of Bellevue, or Village Point Toyota of Omaha.
From the chant of Husker power to Aloe Fiber powering your home and Husker Nation, Aloe is the teammate you can trust. Whether you're streaming at home with Aloe Internet, watching on the go with DirecTV through Aloe, or checking stats and scores on Aloe Mobile, Aloe keeps you in the game. Bench the other guys and team up with the official internet, TV, and mobile partner of the Huskers. Go Gig Red. Visit aloefiber.com/Husker Radio.
Nebraskans are choosing chiropractic for better health. Why chiropractic? Because it's safe, drug-free, and a cost-effective treatment option for back and joint pain. Plus, all generations can benefit from natural chiropractic care. Choose chiropractic first for pain relief or to improve your mobility, athletic performance, or overall wellness. Make chiropractic your first choice for better health and find a chiropractic physician near you at nebraskachiropractic.org. Get your